If you are someone who wants to start a business, you're fearful of what people think of you, you don't know how to get started, or potentially you're afraid of failing and you don't know how to find the people who can help you, or potentially you want to lose some weight, you want to get in the best shape of your life, then I think you're going to really enjoy today's podcast episode where I sit down with entrepreneur, model, and creator of the Female Farmer Rancher, Karen Jack, who also has become my friend because we have gotten to work together one-on-one over the past 2.5 months, where she has lost 18 pounds in the amount of time that we worked together through slight little tweaks in her diet. As she explains in this episode, thought that she was doing everything in order for her to reach her goals, but with tiny little shifts and eating more food than before, she now continues to lose the weight that she's been wanting to lose for a long, long time. She is such a powerhouse. I feel so extremely inspired by how bold this woman goes towards her goals and dreams and does not take no for an answer. So I'm excited for you to dive into this episode with us today. And if you want to work with me one-on-one like I have worked with Karen, then I'll put a link below for you to sign up. Or if you want to join my Dream Life Society, then I will put that link below as well as all of Karen's details so that you can go connect with her on her social platforms. But without further ado, let's dive into today's podcast episode. Karen, I am so excited to have you here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast today. I am honestly just so excited to dive into your story and hear more of your journey for having built all this incredible success that you've built over the past many years. And I've gotten to know you over the past couple of months because we've been working together, and you have accomplished an absolutely insane, crazy fitness goal. And I kind of want to start there because I want to know, for the person listening who has a fitness goal, you have lost in the 2.5 months that we worked together, you lost 18 pounds. And for the person listening who wants that, who potentially currently isn't even sure of what they could be doing differently or what they need to change in order for them to see results, I would love to just hear your thoughts on what shifted within you. And I know, because we've spoken so much, the tiny changes that you actually had to apply and make happen. But I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this.
So first off, you're life changing in itself, which is wild to me because I would have never thought that all of the lifestyle habits that I had had were actually my problem. And so for me, when I first started looking into working with you, I had done this challenge for myself because I'm now 33. I just had a birthday. And in the past, I've always had this kind of fluctuation of being, I would say I was maybe more in shape. I was never really ever fit per se, like really pure muscle, but I used to do a lot of running. And I could figure out basically like I could eat what I thought was healthy and my body would be adjusted to that appropriately. And before I started directly working with you, I was eating a salad every day for all of my meals. And in my past, like I would run a lot and I could eat a salad, and what I thought I would perceive as healthy, I would lose weight. And I feel as though maybe in my age, I'm not necessarily in my 20 something anymore. And so I would assume how I'm eating differently in my age has directly affected that. And so I was eating these salads and I wasn't seeing any results. And I thought they were healthy salads. I was like, olive oil on them. I was like, this is healthy, right? It's not even ranch. And when I did that for 2 weeks and I wasn't losing any weight whatsoever, I was like, I need to reach out to somebody who knows more about this than I do to expedite the process to get to where I want to go. And so I remember immediately when we first started working together, you're like, well, the olive oil has got a lot of calories in that if you're not measuring it out. And I'm like, what do you mean? If I'm not measuring it out, I thought it was the healthier choice. I should be losing weight immediately. And you immediately changed that perception of how I was eating. So then I actually, like, it's wild to me in this whole journey. I'm eating more now than I did even before, and I'm still losing weight. Like, how does that work? That's crazy to me. It's wild to me that, like, the simple tweaks in how I'm perceiving food has completely and totally shifted the way that my body is processing. And like now eating more protein, I wasn't eating near as much protein, and like knowing the differences in calories and where I need to be budgeted and having that broke down, I think has been such a game changer. And even journaling, like just having the good mental state before starting the day to know that like these are the goals that we're achieving. This is what's going to happen. If I don't hit it today, there's tomorrow, but what do I need to tweak to make sure that I'm doing this? And so I would say that that was like, I mean, really, that's huge in itself. Just knowing those small changes that are actually huge changes, that it doesn't have to be super hard, which is wild to me.
It is wild. And you've been so consistent. And when I say consistent, nothing is perfect, but you've gone through massive life challenges with the businesses you run, with the challenges that come your way in all areas of life. It's just amazing how you've kept showing up regardless of what has come your way. You've also been traveling a lot and found a way to make it possible. And I just want to say congratulations. Also, because we're not stopping here. You have massive goals, which I don't know if we want to share, but it is like you're not stopping here. You're taking this many steps further, and I'm really excited to keep on doing this with you. Could you share just for anyone before we move on to your business successes and how that has even shifted with this life change within your fitness? Could you give three pieces of advice to someone who wants to get in shape, who has been struggling and just needs some advice?
Well, I would start with my first and foremost is you can't have everyone around you be healthy and get the full benefits of you unless you're healthy. So, making sure you prioritize your health so that whatever goals you have for yourself and maybe the goals that you'd like to provide for your family or friends or people around you is solely dependent on how you treat yourself. So, doesn't make sense to have big goals if you're not taking care of yourself first and foremost. And I think that's a lot of the challenge is, I mean, like obviously investing in your health can be scary because life is already hard, it's already expensive, but to make that decision to just do it, I think is huge. So I would say, you could invest in sillier things per se. And so I would take it as into an investment, would be the first piece of advice that I would give somebody. My second piece of advice is every day is a new day. And I was once told that if you drop your phone, you don't just continuously drop it, drop it, drop it to see if you can break it even more. You pick it up, you take care of it, you say, oops, that was a mess up, try not to do it again. So I treat that in the very similar way. Not every day is perfect, but move on from it, acknowledge, and then don't try to repeat it. And my third piece of advice is change is scary. Sometimes people don't want to change because they don't know what it's going to do to themselves, or, losing weight might be hard, or getting in shape might be hard because what if you don't like yourself after you've done it, or what does the future self look like? Is this something you're prepared for? And so the fear of change can also be a roadblock, and change doesn't have to be scary, especially if you have the right people helping you do the change. And so I would say those are probably my big three tiers of advice that I would offer.
I love all three. So crucial. And I feel like it's the most important ones because it's really mindset based and everything starts in the mind.
Yes.
And which talking about a strong mindset, what you've created in your life is wildly mind blowing. And now that I've gotten to speak with you weekly over these past couple of months, I've really been so inspired by how you take control and ownership over every single area of your life. For the listener who has no clue other than the introduction I gave in the beginning of what that has looked like for you, the whole journey from when you started and you thought to yourself, I want to build something, I want to create big things in my life to where you are today. Could you share a little bit about that journey and potentially share some of the struggles that have occurred throughout the journey?
Yes. So my first initial goal, I would say, is I've always had this mindset where I really want to create an economy for people. The internet has changed my life single-handedly. And so because of the opportunity that the internet has provided in farming and really any kind of rural life, it's huge to me and very important. And so I initially had started out farming and I was very physically fit in the sense I was outside working all the time. And then this year is the first year that we rented out the farm, so I wasn't as physically fit. I took on different businesses, rentals, have a whiskey brand, now recently doing the podcast and TikTok shop and the social media influencing. With that becomes stress. And so for me, it was really learning how to navigate the stress to get to the next level. And so being able to show up for myself, managing that in a healthy way, not overeating, not having a regular schedule of life, knowing when appropriate food time frames should be had. Like that was one of the biggest challenges. And so since then, I would say having the concept of journaling, taking the time to do that, learning about meditating, and even if I'm not able to do it every day, to be able to squeeze it in when I can, or be reminded subtly of like, hey, this can help clear or get a better fresh start of your thoughts. Knowing the perfect time frames to eat, or when not the perfect time frames to eat, or what a substitute is. I mean, honestly, traveling all the time, I was grabbing snacks, not thinking twice about it, and now I'm grabbing hard-boiled eggs. I never would have thought of doing that. And so
Yes.
just like the little things inside of the travel that now make it so that it's better overall in the business aspect, so that I'm happier physically, because a lot of that is showing up online and being a public person, and also having the mindset of tackling the day, being an effective leader, being an effective partner, being an effective person in the world. All of those things are really important, and it all starts with your health and taking the time to acknowledge and where you need to do and make those changes.
I love that. I love that you're speaking so much about the mental and physical health aspect of it, even when we're talking about like how you've become successful. It just shows that everyone's human, no matter how much success we achieve. It all comes back to our own health and well being. You're so inspiring as a human to me. You're such a go getter. For anyone who also wants to do cool things in their life, start businesses, create a TikTok shop like you've done, gone into real estate, you farming, like you're doing so many things at the same time. And I have gotten to know you over these past couple of months, and I know it's because you think of an idea and you act on it. Many people, however, they think of an idea and then fear kicks in and then that stops them. How do you continue to, or how do you start taking that action and going boldly after the things you want when you're dealing with insecurities and not knowing how to go about doing it and just thinking of all the worst case scenarios that could happen as a result of it? Do you have any advice for those of us who sometimes deal with that?
I would say for me personally, I'm constantly looking around at the people that I want to be like. And I know that we had discussed earlier about social media, how it's such a powerful tool. And like if you're following the right people and you're intentful with how you're doing your mindset, it's easier to be on the internet and do all of those things. So when I think through a scenario of something I want to do, I allow myself to think through what could go wrong. And then I allow myself to think about what could go right. And for me, sure, there's things that I want to do, but I've never acted on. And I think that's true for most. But if you can, I also believe in pros and cons lists. If you can think through the problem or the thing that you want to do and you have a pros and cons list, I would say that's probably the simplest way. Right now, I feel like I've done this so much that I can kind of expedite that pretty quick on whether or not I do need to be focused on it more. But if your pros are obviously larger than the cons, you need to move on it. And every day that you don't move, you're wasting time, and you could have done it yesterday, but you waited until tomorrow. And so your procrastination can actually cost you. And so for me personally, because I'm an impulse, not to say I don't think through all of the things that I'm doing, but I always think of the end goal, which then goes back to what you're surrounded with. So if you're on your phone and you're always consuming, you know, mindless content, you're probably not going to have intentful move forward motions. Or if you're subconsciously cruising and you're looking at inspiring people you want to be like, things you want to do, it's probably going to be easier for you to act on those things because of the way that you're consuming things around you and the way that you're thinking. So for me, it's always, I don't have time to be scared of what would go wrong. All I have time to think about is how could I fix it if it does go wrong, and what am I missing out on by not doing it? And so those are some of the core things. I think it always started out with pros and cons, though. That was I pros and conned everything. Social media, I pros and conned it before I even started it.
I love that. I love a list. So I love a pros and cons. That's such good advice. And we were just on your podcast from dirt to dollars,
Yeah.
and we spoke about this differentiator between failure and lessons. And I would love to hear, because I was explaining my take and it seemed like you have similar opinions, but I would love for you to share that with the audience here.
Yes. So actually, I don't really view anything as a failure. I would say before I probably would, but I think that that is such a mindset change. It's really about what did I learn, because I value education so high that nobody can take education from you. All you can do is invest in yourself by education. And so whatever you're learning and whatever you can take away is key and essential. For me, I'll use a personal, what I would call maybe a failure experience that I just had within the last year or so. I live in a town of 400 people. It's crazy small. I opened up a commercial building, and I enjoy photos. I love photo shoots. I love capturing moments and being able to look at them later in life. Like photography is just a huge thing I'm very passionate about, not just in the modeling aspect, just in life. And so in the town that I'm in, I opened up, it was called Post Space. And I went to all this work. I had all these different booths set out for backdrops so that somebody could come in and do content creation, whether it be for family or business or whatever. And because of where I'm at, because the community that I'm in and the location that I'm at, it's just not a popular thing. And so one could view it as a failure that I started this business, invested into it, it didn't work out. Hindsight 2020, it was a blessing because I have a whiskey brand and I needed a warehouse that wasn't residential to store the alcohol. And so it worked out as doing it as a warehouse that I can lock up and store. And so what seemed like a failure was actually a blessing. And it's just a learning curve. That doesn't mean that that business isn't great. I went to Lake Havasu, Arizona, and we were walking downtown, and there's commercial buildings there, and all I could think to myself is this business would thrive here because of tourism and because people are maybe like-minded in the sense of needing a space, and the population could possibly support it better. And so just because it didn't work here doesn't mean it's not going to ever work. And so maybe that's a business that gets opened up in Arizona sometime. I don't know. But I just view failure doesn't exist. The only thing that's you could fail at is not trying. Then that's a failure to me, which is probably opposite as to what most people think in today's world.
I I agree with you fully and wholeheartedly, and I love that you said that if that hadn't gone wrong, let's
Mhm.
say, then that other thing couldn't have happened. And I feel like my whole life has occurred in that way. It's like the things that did not happen were because there needed to be space for something else to take place, something better to come along, something that was more in alignment, better for me long term, or led me to this other thing. And yeah, I just think that's such a powerful way to look at it. You were sharing a little bit about moving to this new place and having the alcohol work better there. And something we've talked about both in your podcast now, but also when we've been on our weekly calls, is this fear of other people's opinion and what they think of us and our life choices and how we go about our life. I know that we're not the only people who have struggled with this. For the people who do struggle with this, I know you've dealt with a lot of judgment, both online and also from potentially the places that you've lived. What would be a lesson that you've learned from having this judgment take place?
Uh Generally speaking, I would say people who have a judgment against you are not happy with where they are. And so they probably, and you've said this multiple times, that you're sending the most amount of love to the people who are saying the meanest things because they're coming from a place of, I mean, they just think they need love, and it's true. And so I think that that's huge to be able to have a mindset that's true, of that you never really see people who are doing more and bigger than you tearing you down. They don't have time. They're busy working on their own empire versus looking at yours to tear you down. And so I think that that is a huge thing to acknowledge and to relish in. And if somebody is being mean to you or hurtful in any kind of way, that it's really not about you, it's about them. That they need to have some self reflection going on, and they're just lashing out at you. It's nothing that you're doing specifically. And so I don't know, I always refer to having this term put on my blinders. And that's honestly, I think, how I've gotten to where I am. I'm searching for only the energy that's going to be able to help me move forward. And I cannot take time. I do not have time to look around to see who's criticizing me, hating me, unless they put themselves in front of me. I'm obviously forced to see it at that point, right? But in reality, it's easier to put on blinders and focus on the positive things that you can be doing versus the negative. And it's easier said than done. I get it. I'm one of the worst to be honed in on it sometimes. But I don't know. I find a good cry. If you need to cry it out, experience it, feel it, move on. Don't allow yourself to stay there. That's the worst thing you can do, is try to pick yourself up, move on from it. And so that's finding like-minded people who are going to make you feel better, actively seeking for them. Send the message on social media and hope for the response. If you just keep trying, eventually it will hit. Somebody will be able to talk to you. Somebody's going to be like-minded. You're going to find it out there. You just have to search for it and be active in it and
I
aware of
love
it.
it. I love that. Such good advice. Put on your blinders. Maybe someone listening right now needs to take a 30-day cleanse of putting on blinders whenever they think of whatever something may be thinking, or maybe they even hear whatever the person is thinking. It's just say to themselves, put on the blinders. Keep on working on me. Because like you're saying, it's the only way to move forward is to move past it and not dwell in it. You are one of the people I've seen be best at when you have an issue, instead of asking yourself, well, what do I need to do? Or just like what, you ask the who. We talked about this a little bit on your podcast as well, but I just want you to share this with my audience because it's something I've learned from you. If there's something you want to become exceptional at, something you potentially have no clue on how to even start, you're so good at reaching, like looking at who could help me with this, and then you go for it. You reach out to them, and if that person doesn't answer, you reach out to someone else who potentially could help you, and you don't stop till you find that who that can help you. Could you share a little bit about that for anyone who's like, I feel stuck within this area and I don't know what to do?
Yeah, so for me, honestly, I have this rule of life. I think one person can change your life. I believe that so wholeheartedly. Like, I look back at my life, and even relationships with people change your life. One person can change your whole entire outlook on something. One person can seemingly change it for the better or for the worse, depending at the time and how you're thinking. And so for me, because I've had such exceptionally good luck with that concept, it makes the most sense. I will use a couple of the examples in my career that have led me to where I'm at, to know those choices, or to know that that's what's happened. So it all started going back to like college for me. Went to college and I wanted to come home and farm. I couldn't do that. The farm wouldn't financially provide. Me and my dad were battling over like the concept of me coming back at all. And he had suggested make a baby step. So I made a phone call to a local FSA agency and I said, hey, like I would really like to come back and farm. I need to have a job in the area. Is there any way that you could help me figure out or guide me in a direction that would take me there? And this one person changed my life forever because of the direction that was sent to me. So then I moved back home to the area. And so that one person changed my whole future because I was able to make that move. And so, because I was actively seeking for the solution to my problem, it kind of, it's just like it's a tumbling effect. So then it became, I want to have my own cows. How am I going to have my own cows? Who can help me have my own cows? And then to me, it's, I was working at the FSA institution and I was learning about all these programs, beginning farmers, and I was like, I think this might be where I can do it. And so because I had met the one person who changed my life in ag, which is interesting because this is the entity that I met with him earlier today, actually, because I'm kind of at another crossroad in my life with real estate. And he was always so positive. I honestly owing owning a farm because of his inspiration every day. He was every time we do a farm visit, he was like, "When are we gonna grow? You're gonna grow? You're gonna buy ground? What are you gonna do next?" Like just such a positive person. And because of him, I owned my first farm before I was 30. And so it's just like that one person changing your whole entire life. And so fast forward from that, it's like I look at my fitness journey and like now we're talking about doing a bikini competition for me in Arizona, which I'm manifesting. I'm putting that out there because it's one person that changes your life. And so before I had met you, this is where I really learned about the internet. So if you're bashful about messaging people online, don't be. Kindly was her name, is her name. And I had messaged her. I was really low. She was a model, like is a model, and so incredibly intelligent. And so I messaged her and I was in this really dark spot and she responded to me and she invited me to go to a trip to Aruba, told me about it, said that this would be a good fit for me. I met her and she single-handedly changed all my business for social media. She was like, "You need to have help. You're doing this all by yourself. There's no way you're going to be able to do it all." And so I now created my economy that I was manifesting because of meeting that one person to change my life. And so I just really think it's important to seek out the things that you want to do in order to make those moves happen for yourself. So, I mean, like the fitness thing was it was a no-brainer. I had to do it. So then I just did research. I'm like, who do I want to be like? Whose mindset is it that I want to be working with? Where do I want to go for this? And so you stuck out to me like a sore thumb because you have this mentality. Life's about choices, make the right one. It's this or it's that, black and white. It's pretty simple. And so I really resonated with that. I was like, oh, Pernilla, I want to work with her. And so then I was like going back and forth. I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know, because change is hard. And then, making the move to do that. And here we are now doing
Oh,
podcasts,
I'm
talking
so
about.
happy that we got to meet in this way. It's been such incredible months
I love
being
it.
with you. Like we've become friends. Like
I know.
it's been amazing. It's been so amazing. Like and we're gonna meet in person
I'm so excited.
for the competition. And I am just so excited. I mean, I'm so grateful that I have had this time with you and we're gonna keep going. It's so amazing. One person can change your life. I freaking love that. We are running out of time, but I have one final question for you. But before I ask you that question, where can people connect with you, learn more from you? Where can they get in touch?
So everything that I do is centered at Female Farmer Rancher. So anywhere you search Female Farmer Rancher, Facebook, Instagram, that's where I'll be.
Amazing. My podcast is called Challenge Your Norm. And I wanted to ask you if you had one thing that you would love for the listener to challenge themselves within, challenge their norm in order to change their life, what would your advice be?
Take the one big change that you want to have, dissect it into smaller changes to attain the large change, and work off of that. Make the small baby move. So, as an example, if you're trying to get fit or you want to be more into the fitness activity, observe the things that are going on with what it is that you want to do. Start researching it. Maybe get one step closer to making the change, whether it's just be engaging or liking the post or doing anything like that, and then slowly work into the concept of potentially joining a community and then taking the step from that to working one-on-one or to do whatever the changes that you're wanting to have. Do something small to get to the big goal.
Oh, that's incredible. I love that advice. So good. Go out there and do something small today. Karen, you are just such a light in this world. I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful that you came on this podcast and that we also got to do one on yours, which everyone can go check out on your podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being the most incredibly inspiring human and just always pushing limits, proving that There's nothing that's impossible. Everything is possible if we just find a way. I am so inspired by you. I'm so grateful that you came on. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode with Karen Jack. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. And I really recommend that you go check her out and connect with her on her social platforms. And if you want to work with me one-on-one like I did with Karen, then I'll put the link below. And also, if you want to just join my next transformation challenge or my Dream Life Society, I'll put those links below as well. I hope you go out there today and take on Karen's advice and start taking those small little action steps towards what it is that you want in your life. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.